10. Former Toei, The Only Way in Essex star Mike Cascini was arrested and sentenced to spend 6 years in prison. It happened in April of 2021 when he was busted exchanging over $140,000 of cocaine. Oops. As it turned out, Mike the TV star was just as unsuccessful being a drug dealer as he was being an actor. For a bit of background on Mike, he joined the cast of The Only Way in Essex back in 2015, but he was promptly suspended the next year. He crashed his car in London and was found to be driving while under the influence, as well as in possession of cocaine. He was let go of the show, at which point he had no better choice than to begin working as a personal trainer and an online coach. At least these were the jobs he talked about publicly. He was also selling Class A drugs. The police busted him on April 16th at about 9:40 in the morning. They caught him putting a brick of cocaine disguised in a cardboard box into a gray Mercedes. The judge in Mike's case said it was obvious he had some role to play in a major drug-dealing operation. The police also even found Mike in possession of a small collection of smartphones and burner phones, as well as even more cocaine. He was given the sentence of 6 years and 9 months in jail for his crimes. 9. Farts in a jar. Stephanie Mateo is the reality star who made a ridiculous fortune by selling her farts in jars. Yes, Stephanie would fart into a jar and then sell that jar to strangers with a fart fetish on the internet for an exorbitant amount of money. She allegedly made about $200,000 by simply selling her farts. If you're not sure who Stephanie is, she was once the star of 90 Day Fiancé. But after her brief stint on TV, she became what she likes to call a fartrepreneur. She's even recently rolled out something she calls the Fart Jars NFT experience. We're not going to get into the specifics of her fart business. However, we are here to talk about how she was recently admitted to the hospital in early 2022 after experiencing strange pains in her body. Stephanie went to the hospital thinking she was having problems with her heart. She had been in major pain for 2 full days and was convinced her heart was about to explode. But when she went to the hospital, it turned out she had a case of severe gas. Somehow the gas made Stephanie feel as if she would have a heart attack. We don't know why she had too much gas, but it very well could have been from farting in too many jars. She's now switched her vision, refocusing from physical farts in jars to selling NFT fart tokens. Either way, it's pretty gross. 8. Too hot to handle. In 2021 and 2022, Too Hot to Handle was one of the most watched TV shows on Netflix. It was a huge hit for reality TV. However, not all of the stars of the show were what you might call role models. In February of 2021, 3 of the stars were arrested and fined following some seriously bad behavior on their flight home from filming the 3rd season. Harry Johnson, yes, that's his name, and Matthew McWeeny and Bo Raymond were on a British Airways flight going home when they became annoyed. The cabin crew continuously told them that they needed to follow COVID regulations and wear their face masks. But after just coming from an island paradise, these people weren't interested in following the rules. They became abusive and violent. Matthew McWeeny, who went by Jackson on the show, spat on one of the staff members and told her to look up his mother. His mom happens to be Baroness Patricia Scotland, the first female Attorney General of Britain. He basically name-dropped his mom in hopes of getting away with acting like a child on a public airplane. But the insanity didn't stop there. Bo became extremely abusive and started screaming at one of the stewardesses, saying that he would take her job away. It was one of the most surreal breakdowns of three grown adults acting like entitled children that has ever happened. All three were arrested when the plane landed and had to go to court. There, they apologized and admitted that they were acting immature. But to be honest, this just seems to be who these people are. There's likely nothing that's going to change that. 7. Charlotte Crosby. When reality TV star Charlotte Crosby was trying to enter Dubai on December 8, 2021, she almost found herself being transported to jail. Why, you ask? Charlotte was carrying a personal adult toy in her hand luggage, something a lot more people do than you might think. In any case, that is against the law in Dubai. And so Charlotte nearly got herself arrested. She was initially stopped by Dubai authorities at the airport when they searched her luggage and discovered the small, discreet object. The 31-year-old star, who appeared on shows like Celebrity Big Brother, MTV Game Night, and The Geordie Shore, found herself in a very awkward argument with the airport officials. It took some heated words, but Charlotte finally got herself past security and free of the airport maniacs. She really didn't do anything wrong, not like some of the other people on today's list. But bringing her personal device with her could have landed Charlotte in jail for an unknown amount of time. If she wasn't so famous, she could still be rotting in a jail cell right now in a foreign country. 6. Fatal DUI. A former American Idol star has gotten into some serious trouble for driving over a man in his pickup truck while stoned. His name is Caleb Andrew Kennedy, and he's currently facing up to 25 years in prison. Here's how it all happened. According to police in South Carolina, Caleb was driving high on a Tuesday afternoon in early February 2022. He was so high that he drove his truck into somebody's private driveway, running the man over who lived on his property. The victim was identified as Larry Dwayne Paris, 54 years old. He was standing outside of his own shop, his very own business where he fixes boats, when he was plowed into by the drunk country singer. It was awful and tragic, but at least Caleb showed some decency after what he did. When the police arrived, he was holding the victim in his arms in total distress. He was broken up about it, but not more broken up than the man's daughter, who was in tears. Larry was pronounced dead at the scene, and Caleb was arrested. He told deputies that he'd visited a friend just before the crash and smoked from a vaping device. He'd gotten a little higher than anticipated, and in his fugue state, drove over Larry. As for Caleb's short time in the spotlight, he had advanced into the top 5 of the American Idol contestants the year before. Who's your favorite American Idol contestant who ended up going down a dark path just like Caleb? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe before the end of the video. 5. Ponzi Scheme. Reality TV star Maurice Fain, whom you might remember from the show Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, was sentenced in 2021 to spend 17 years in a federal prison. He was charged with conspiracy and wire fraud, all related to a bizarre Ponzi scheme connected to a fraudulent paycheck protection program. Not only was Maurice sentenced to spend the rest of his young adult years in jail, he was also ordered to pay restitution of roughly $4.5 million to his victims. According to attorney Kurt R. Erskine, Maurice ran the Ponzi scheme through multiple states between March 2013 and May 2020. He defrauded no less than 20 people who invested in his supposed trucking business. Instead of using his investors' cash to operate the business, he used their money to pay off his own personal debts and live an extravagant lifestyle. He spent over $5 million in an Oklahoma casino. He also submitted a fake loan application in April of 2020, claiming his business employed 107 people. He said he needed the money to keep the business afloat during the pandemic. Basically, Maurice scammed everyone he possibly could. He wasn't that famous, only appearing in season 8 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And now that he'll be in prison until he's in his 60s, he'll never be in another reality show ever again. 4. Jeffrey Pascal. Jeffrey Pascal from 90 Day Fiancé has been sentenced to spend the next 18 years of his life in prison. He was found guilty in court of kidnapping and domestic assault, as well as some other minor charges that came from a horrible confrontation with his ex-girlfriend. It began in June of 2019, when the 44-year-old TV star beat up his partner at the time, Kristen Wilson Chapman. He grabbed his ex, slammed her head with great force against the wall, and then refused to let her leave. He kept her prisoner in her own house. He took her phone away, he dragged her around the house and abused her. And it was only when Jeffrey fell asleep that Kristen was able to make a break for it. She ran out of the house, got to a neighbor's residence, and phoned the cops. When the Knoxville police showed up, they found Kristen covered in bruises. She had abrasions across her back and arms, was diagnosed with a concussion, and had a busted lip. The abusive boyfriend was arrested and dragged away. He tried to say that it was Kristen who beat herself up, but his testimony was ultimately discredited. In the end, District Attorney Charmaine Allen said the sentence of 18 years will ensure no other woman is ever abused by the offender. 3. Jordan Finlayson. Jordan Finlayson was a star on the reality show Beauty and the Geek. These days, she's modeling in Australia instead of performing on TV. This is after a brief trip to jail for dealing drugs. It was in April of 2020 when the reality TV star was busted selling tens of thousands of dollars worth of hardcore drugs to undercover cops. She was given a hefty sentence of 2 years and 3 months behind bars. Now that she's been released, chances are she's not going to be appearing on any more programs. But she still has a name for herself, and so she's gone into modeling. She also claims to be studying again, in hopes of becoming an entrepreneur. As for what happened with the drugs, it was the accumulation of many years of bad choices. In an interview, Jordan admitted to spending up to $5,000 a week on Xanax, meth, cocaine, and even heroin. She had a major drug problem, and that spiraled out of control when she started dealing herself. 2. Ryan Alexander Jenkins. In 2009, Ryan Jenkins had been married to Jasmine Fiore for 5 months. He was on track to become a pretty big celebrity. He had filmed a reality series with VH1 called Megan Wants a Millionaire. And now he was in Mexico filming I Love Money 3 in hopes of winning the $250,000 prize. But things were very bad for Ryan very quickly. On August 15, 2009, his wife's body was discovered stuffed in a suitcase and dumped in a dumpster in Buena Park, California. She had been strangled and mutilated by none other than Ryan himself. It was just after the reality show in Mexico had wrapped, and Ryan Jenkins was nowhere to be seen. This turned into a major fiasco in the world of reality TV. All kinds of dirt was dug up on Ryan, including an arrest from 4 years earlier for beating up a girlfriend in Calgary. Even though none of the other cast members of his reality shows had noted him being a violent person, he obviously had some major demons living inside of him. But we don't know what his motive was. Ryan Jenkins managed to cross the border into Canada and was found on August 23rd, dead in a hotel room in British Columbia. He never admitted what he had done, and we never got an explanation. His deceased wife's family never learned why their innocent daughter, a swimsuit model who used to work shows in Las Vegas casinos, had to die such a brutal and pointless death. Why marry a woman if you're just planning on murdering her 5 months later? 1. Stephen Bear. Stephen Bear was arrested in February of 2022 for breaching bail conditions. His bail conditions had been set in relation to a charge of distributing adult videos without permission or consent. Stephen had filmed himself with his former girlfriend, Georgia Harrison, without her knowing. Then when they broke up, he shared the footage online out of spite. It was a serious offense, and Stephen was charged on 2 counts of disclosing private sexual photographs or films, along with 1 count of voyeurism in 2021. Alas, these aren't really jailable offenses. Steven, who appeared on both Celebrity Big Brother and X on the Beach, bailed himself out immediately after his arrest. He's due to have his day in court in 2022, sometime around the end of the year. But he's already gotten himself in even more trouble for talking about his case on social media, something he isn't supposed to be doing. Not only is Steven awful for secretly filming himself with his ex and uploading the video to OnlyFans, he's also a total dirtbag for essentially bragging about it online. Nevertheless, Steven was re-bailed after his breach of bail and is still wandering around doing whatever he wants. It's doubtful that he'll get any jail time when it comes down to the trial at the end of the year, but just wait and see what happens. Who's your favorite disgraced celebrity from reality TV? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe and come back real soon for more awesome videos from the channel. Bye!